Newsfirst Newsline with Faraz Shauketaly.
Hello there, and a very good evening to you, and welcome to Newsline Live. Now, amongst politics and concerns about the Colombo port city and the fluctuating fortunes of the Sri Lanka rupee and the US dollar, we thought we'd take a break from all that and talk about something that usually generates intense public interest across any religion or any belief or anything of the sort, especially, of course, because tomorrow is 2 years about that awful Saturday or Sunday, Easter Sunday, 2 years ago. So I thought we'd discuss something which I know that the entire country usually unites with. And my next guest is an appropriate person to be here and to answer these questions, because, you see, way back in those years, shall we say, we had a cricketer that Sri Lanka produced, Mahadevan Sathasivam. He was described by Sir Gary Sobers as one of the greatest cricketers, batsmen in the world. Sir Frank Worrell joined him in similar sentiment. And I thought that I'd ask my next guest, Sri Lanka, having won the World Cup in 1996 and having by now produced cricketers and the likes and talents of Arjuna Ranatunga, Kumar Sangakkara, Mahela Jayawardena, Roshan Mahanama, Dulip Mendis, Sunil Wettamuni, Bandla Warnapuram, Ashanta Dimel, and so many such classy acts. Aravinda De Silva, let's not forget him. When is Sri Lanka going to reach those sort of standards again? My guest tonight is, of course, the World Cup winning captain from 1996, Arjuna Ranatunga. Very good evening to you.
Good evening, Faraz.
So the question is that, when are we going to produce people like Mahadevan Sathasivam from all those years ago? He was a classic case. He's actually the unique distinction, I think, of captaining three countries, Sri Lanka, Ceylon, then Singapore and Malaysia. And he sort of livened up the whole field, like everybody else, like you did. And if you look at the English team, like you remember Botham, you know, they used to fill the grounds when he played, and I'm sure they did with you. I remember watching test matches in England when all of you all were playing, and it was super. You couldn't get a ticket for the love of money or God even. It's sad to see Sri Lanka cricket right now. When are we going to attain those heights?
Faraz, I haven't seen Sathasivam at all, but I have seen Roy Das and Aravinda De Silva. I still feel they were the two best I have seen, and I had the luxury of playing with them and playing against them in the club level. And then I played with players like Mavanatapattu, then Sanat Jayasuriya, then Mahela Sangakkara. But I felt, cricket-wise, we don't have a problem. We have the talent. Unfortunately, the administration has been the issue. If you go through the last 5 years, don't go back more than that. We won the World Cup in 1996, then we had 2 World Cups, we came to the finals, we won a 2020. We were number 2 in test level and number 1 in 2020 before 2015. Then suddenly there was a huge issue about the administration. Unfortunately, we used to play too many cricketers in very few games, and then we never built a team after 2015. We never built a captain. So it was all about handling a cricket team. If you go back to 96, when we won the World Cup, it was all about managing, nothing else. We had super talent, Aravinda De Silva, Murali, Vasi, they were young cricketers. Then we had players like Sanat Jayasuriya and Vitarana. So we had to do like new things to get into the top. And it didn't happen overnight. A lot of people thought 1996 we built a team within a month or two. No, it didn't happen like that. It took almost 1.5 years, maybe 2 years. And we
leading up to 96.
Leading up to 96. But we tried so many guys. There were more talented guys. But ultimately, when I picked the side in 96, I wanted to pick a side the 14 guys, out of 14, 11 who will go with me to the field, give their life for the country. That is it, nothing else. No personal gains, no records. The first thing I told them, forget about records. You go through some of the past grades, they don't have proper records, but they have won more games. And they played for the country most of the time. And from 2015, I didn't see players playing for the country. It was all about their personal gain. And we never build a team for the future. Now, when we won the World Cup, then 1998 we had a time in Australia with Murali's issue. But at that time, we were building a side. We brought Mahela Jayawardene into the side, then Russell Arnold. There were so many younger cricketers. We got them into the side. By the time I left as a captain and when I retired, I handed over the team to Sanath Jayasuriya with a proper side. So that he didn't have to do too many new things. It was just about, I am gone, Arvind was still playing, and then Hashan was around, Roshan was retired. But overall, we built people like Mahelas, Dilshans. A lot of people were there to fill into some of the very big shoes. But we built them. But unfortunately, for the last 5 years, we didn't do that. We were trying so many players, we were trying too many captains, and then look at the administration. We are the only country, we have an anti-corruption office implemented
in
by
the country.
ICC.
In-house.
In-house.
Yeah.
So you can see that. So we are treated as the most corrupt cricketing nation today, thanks to the present administration, who has run cricket for the last 5 years and ruined the game and still ruining the game. People who the ministers allow them to ruin the game, still allowing them to ruin the game. And it's so unfortunate. We have been talking about it. Some top prominent people went to courts. Thanks to that, ultimately the minister had to appoint an interim committee. But unfortunately, you go through India, same thing happened. They went to courts and court gave an order. That is why someone like Saurav Ganguly became the Indian Cricket Board president. If he goes through the voting system, he will never come as a cricket board president. Now, less corruption in the IPL, and unfortunately, we can't see it is happening now. I didn't see it happening for the last 5 years.
Yeah.
I can't see it's happening now. So we have to wait and see. I'm sure that we need a strong minister to come out and do the proper thing. Justice for cricket, justice for our country.
We're getting some information that some of our viewers can't hear Arjuna Ranatunga too well. Our control room will have a look at that now to check if Mr. Ranatunga's mic is giving us an issue. But on the basis that some people can hear you, I wanted to ask you, you said you picked the team in 1996, the 14 and then eventually the 11 who would walk with you onto the field. Was there any pressure from anybody, or was that your decision?
No, I had very good selectors. Thankfully, Julip Mendis, who was my manager, who was the chairman selection committee. Then we had Roy Das as a selector, Ranjan Madugal as a selector, Siddharth Vetamuni as a selector. And I was never pressurized by a politician, and I was never pressurized by the cricket board. I never allowed that to happen, because my target was playing cricket, building a side. My target was try to win as much as possible. That is the exact thing. What we were lacking for us was the confident among ourselves. And talent-wise, we never had a problem.
And Arjuna, I want to ask you, I think maybe a couple of years ago, we were privy to information that some of these monies due to Sri Lanka cricket had ended up in all sorts of jolly places where cricket is a novelty. In fact, I remember that some of these monies were transferred to an account in the US. I mean, what's happened about that then?
I don't know, Faraz. I'm fed up talking about these things. I think what we need to do, I'm thankful to Mr. Charita Herat, who is the COPE chairman in the parliament.
Yeah.
And if you go through the normal process at COPE, I am sure that minister doesn't have to do anything to take action. And there are enough issues. Auditor General has given a super report on that. I got the report. And there were issues where the money has gone abroad and no one is answerable for that. And the same people has been running cricket. So if this thing happened in an organization,
they'll be sacked, they'll be arrested.
Not sacked, they will be arrested.
Yes.
And not only sacked, they will be in jail. But unfortunately, these people are still running, and they are very comfortable running, surrounded by some of the politicians. This is what has happened in the past. This is what is happening now.
And also, I want to ask you, if you look at the expenses of at Sri Lanka cricket, a fair amount of money is spent by every administration, interim or otherwise, on legal battles or legal fees. But none of these have ever ended up in a prosecution or ended up in court. And that, to me, is a very sad state of affairs.
I think if you go through some of these lawyers who are appearing for the cricket board, has appeared for some of the cricket board presidents, there are court cases. So it is like giving a bribe. I think that's what I feel. And if you go through the entire process in the last 5 years, you could see corruption from top to bottom. And even there are people who has the vote is working for the cricket board now. They are paid about 75,000, 100,000 salary because that the elections are coming. Even recently I saw in some of the news, they are distributing money. They are giving promises to the clubs. It is like officially giving them bribes. And who talks? I think ultimately entire blame will end up with the sports minister, not no one else. You can scold the cricket board, but ultimately minister is in charge of the sports, has to take the blame on this. I'm sure that one day Mr. Namal Rajapaksa has to face this repercussion in the future, because if he is not acting now, I'm sure that he is going to put his neck on the rail.
Because I was about to ask you, we have a Minister of Sport who is the nephew of the President, and the President has the 20th Amendment on his side. He is also the son of the Prime Minister. So if you're talking power, what more power do you want?
Absolutely. I think it happened to some of our ministers when we ran the government. I'm sure that when they were talking about democracy, cricket doesn't have democracy for us. It's a mafia which has been running cricket for the last so many years. You are talking about democracy, the country doesn't have democracy, and you are talking about democracy in cricket. Even I saw Mr. Namal Rajapaksa talking about having elections, saying that it should be democracy. But go through the past, what has happened in cricket. If you go through the last 20, 30 years, every time an interim committee comes and run, they have been very successful. Because they are not answerable to anyone. They are answerable only to the minister and to the public in this country. But if you are elected, you are answerable to the members, you are answerable to the people who gives you a vote, and they have to be bribed, they have to give money, they have to be taken on tours. It has happened in the past. It is happening now. So I am sure that what you said, son of the Prime Minister, nephew of the President, if he can't do it.
And he's young.
Actually, when he came in, I was very glad that he was appointed. But tell you honestly, I'm very disappointed with the last couple of months what has happened, and allow the entire corrupt people to run. One good thing, like when we were running cricket, when we were running the government in 2015, Mr. Navin Dissanayake, who was the minister for a very short period, had the guts to put an interim committee and to change the constitution. Unfortunately, with this joint government, he had to let go one of the ministries, and sports ministry had to go away from him. And then they spoke about the democracy. When for election, this is where we went wrong, and it is happening now itself.
And on that note, let's go for a short break, and it gives us time to check Mr. Ranatunga's mic again. But let's also have a quick peek at the headlines from Newsfirst's primetime news later this evening.
Newsline with Faraz Shauketaly.
And welcome back to Newsline Live. I am in conversation with that wonderful Arjuna Ranatunga. So, Arjuna, there's always bad news, but what can we do? Cricket is a way of religion in this country. Everybody follows cricket, and we are all proud. We forget all our divisions and troubles and the fluctuating dollar even, because it's cricket. What can we do to fix it? I mean, obviously gone are the days when people helped cricket privately and without wanting any advertising or any sort of kudos or anything like that. They were happy to do it. I'm sure you know who I mean. People like that, they were in the background, and even now they want to remain in the background. But maybe that's a different era. But what can we do now to improve the whole business?
I think that is one of the problems. Everyone who has helped us wanted to take a step back. That is where we went wrong. I think people who has the vision should take a step back, step up and come and get involved. People like Mr. Raju Mahendran, who was the vice president when I was a young kid. When Mr. Gamini Dissanayake couldn't find a vice president, he was willing to come and help us. And he looked after so many cricketers, and I still respect him. I still call him sir, not because of anything. The way he looked after cricketers and cricket. After 96, Faraz, the money started coming into the cricket. I think after the World Cup, we were recognized, then the ICC started paying us more. That is where the corrupt people got involved. Earlier, people like Gamini Dissanayake or Mr. Raju Mahendran, they didn't have to create a name. They always had a name.
Yeah.
But people who never had a name wanted to come and get popular through the cricket board. Like people like Gamini Dissanayake or Raju Mahendran doesn't have to come to the cricket board to get to know by the public.
The integrity and the names made.
They are all known. But people who came after 96, just on 96 time, they created a name. They got identified through a cricket board, either presidents or the secretaries. And unfortunately, that is where we went wrong. And I still feel, cricket-wise, talent-wise, we don't have a problem. I went through some of these new cricketers, a new boy who got 100, and there are new up-and-coming boys are coming. Talent-wise, we don't have a problem. We have a problem upstairs. I think we have to manage them properly. There are some boys who has come from very, especially outstation, come from different backgrounds, and when they come to this top area, they have to be managed properly. Not only their lives have to be managed, their money has to be managed. And now that unfortunately there are managers who ruin them, they will put them into all sort of advertisement, whether it is good or bad, because that they get a 10% or 15% commission. And through that, all these younger boys have got involved in this. And it's for them, it's all about earning money. That concept has to be changed. That is what, not that I'm saying that I did that. My target was, when I was captaining, to get my cricketers to play this game for the country rather than the money. Whatever the money you got. I can remember, Faraz, when we won a tournament, we go to the cricket board, they will give us a check. We take the check. We don't check whether we are getting $1,000 or $2,000 or $100. We go and put it in the bank. Even the younger cricketers, we manage their funding. And that is the way. It was more like a family. Now that...
What did you get in 96 when you won the World Cup?
I think we got about $20,000 for the entire team. So
the whole team?
Whole team. So you have to be... It's divided by the 14 players, not by the level.
Okay.
And we were not bothered about what we got.
What did you get? Did the president give you some gifts additionally?
No, yes. I think the former president, Chandrika Bandaranaike, she gave us a car permit. She gave us 10 perch land in Colombo. And I think more than that, after 25 years, we just celebrated the 25 years. The happiness we all have, still people remember us. And they talk about us.
So the gratitude is there?
Still there, and that is more than enough. I think the present lot might be earning more money, but we have earned too many people, loved by too many people. I think that is more than enough for 14 of us. I think that's the most happiness thing happened to me in the last couple of weeks when we went through this 25 years thing. We had too many interviews, we had celebration functions, the way they recognize us and talk to us. And it's not the money part. And what we have realized, we kept the entire country together. And I can remember I heard this story when we played the World Cup final. The LTT, the terrorists, stopped fighting that particular day. So
they wanted to watch the match.
Yeah, they watched the match, and apparently they celebrated with all of us.
Right.
So that means that with even so-called the top-class terrorists, we could with cricket we could get them to our side. So that was one of the greatest happiness I had when I heard about it. Those are the memories we carry for the last 25 years. That is something I wanted to introduce to the new players, and unfortunately I don't get the opportunity to do that. But even I told this to the present minister, there are enough people who wants to come and help, but not with this cricket administration. I specifically told him, appoint an interim committee, don't worry about ICC. ICC will give us a time frame. Change the constitution, because we are having about 140 odd votes for us. Like I'll tell you, even Mahinda Rajapaksa contesting tomorrow, Gotabaya Rajapaksa contesting,
will probably lose.
Absolutely, they will lose. They will never win. And I'm sure this is where we had to take a strong step. We had to take a strong decision by a strong person.
How many votes has India got?
India, earlier they had a lot of votes. Now that they have come down to about 30 odd votes. Australia maybe
and we
15.
have 100 plus.
We have about 147 votes. Out of that, there are clubs who doesn't have a cricket team, still get funded by the cricket board.
But they're only paper clubs.
Paper clubs, but they are paid by the cricket board.
Yeah.
So, and there are cricket clubs who doesn't have a ground, no cricket team as well, but still get money. So this is why these people have been running around for the last so many years. They are getting benefited by cricket board funding, and these particular funds should go to the grassroots level, the school level. And there are schools, I know, they can't afford to buy a cricket bat. Forget about a cricket kit. So this is the area we have neglected, and I have been talking about this for the last 20 odd years. From the day I went to the parliament, Faraz, I did actually, I tell you honestly, I got into politics, not to do anything else, to be a powerful person to get cricket right. And being a MP, being a minister, I couldn't get cricket right. So it's a very sad state when it comes to cricket and politics in this country.
But we have Mahinda Rajapaksa, who's known to be a sporting type, and now his son is the minister. And you have people like yourself and Sunil Wettimuni, Kumar Sangakkara. Most of these people, like yourselves, have said, look, we don't want to get involved in this because we unless we can actually make a difference. And that is the start, most of them say, is by redoing the constitution and the sports law.
That is the reason some of these prominent people went to the court, and they are still fighting a court case to change the constitution. That has to be the number one priority, and the cricket has to be. Now take the present cricket interim committee, which is appointed by the minister. Apart from Ashley Risula, who has been the CEO for last 10 years, and not a single cricketer in the interim committee. So I can't see a logic behind that. At least it doesn't have to be Arjuna Ranatunga.
And now and today we are treated to the information that a former planter is now the acting manager for the next tour.
Only unfortunate thing is good people doesn't want to get involved in the system for us. That has been happening for the last so many years. But till 2015, the cricket came on the right track. There were issues, but unfortunately from 2015, when we were running the government, tell you honestly, I was part of the government, but we couldn't change because there were two sides in the political system. So unfortunately, that particular downgrade thing hit us very badly. And now that we have to play the qualify for the T20 tournament, I'll give you a hint now. It's not very far. Maybe the next World Cup we might have to play a qualify round. If we had two bad games, we are out of the World Cup for the first time. So it is happening. It will happen if we don't act properly. And I can't see we are acting properly. Even the sports minister, I had a lot of respect for him, but tell you honestly, very, very disappointed now.
And that is very sad news indeed for Sri Lanka, a country that loves cricket and enjoys the game so much. But we hope, Arjuna Ranatunga, that you and everybody else, especially especially all the past cricketers, will be able to form a committee of sorts in a drive to bring greatness to Sri Lanka cricket again. That is the wish. I'm sure there's loads of people here who's messaging us and saying that some say that you mustn't give up, because if you give, you have to be like Churchill. Don't ever give up. So that's the wish of the public out there.
No, I'm still fighting for us. Now you take the minister appointed like Sangakkara, Mahela Jayawardena, Murali, and within no time they are serving for Indian Cricket Board. They are serving for IPL, and they will be out for 2 months. And Tom Moody, we brought him, paying him a massive amount of money, and he is in charge of one of the teams in the Premier League in India. So for the next 2 months, we are like dead dogs.
Right.
So is this what we need in cricket? No, it is not.
We need greatness again. Arjuna Ranatunga, thank you very much. And if I miss any of the cricketers past, at present, it wasn't by intention. It's now time for the primetime news from News First. Take care, have a great evening ahead of you, and as always, God bless you.